I have like 12 bosses. I have 5 sellers. Half of them are happy with me. Half of them are not. I have a few buyers. Half of them are frustrated with the inventory.
The data shows that in an election year, the market gets quiet. And following the election, regardless of how it goes, market picks back up.
Yeah, I could fire him, but like, then I lose 2. And I wasn't at that point.
Right.
I wanted to recoup.
Hello, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
Welcome.
Yes.
It's November 11. You know what that means? It's 11/11.
Oh, nice.
Should make a wish.
Oh.
Make a wish for boundaries.
We thought it would be good before we get into the holidays to do a little boundaries revisit.
A little boundaries revisit, and we're going to talk about another concept that I've been stewing on and we've talked about a little bit personally. So we'll add that in as well.
Do you want to tell them what it is?
You want me to tell them what it is already?
Yeah.
Yes, it's capacity versus demand.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Okay, so what your capacity is versus the demand. Let's read this message from Kristen to start us off.
Okay, great.
Okay, Kristen said, I am currently managing a team, my husband and myself. That's the hardest to manage.
That's the hardest team.
The hardest team. I am struggling with boundaries. My calendar is always set, but I feel all over the place, especially after we get a new buyer. It just throws everything off. Any suggestions?
It's tough, like especially when you're working with family. You know, we've talked to some of our listeners that have, it's like not only do you have to implement boundaries with your clients, but in your house with what you chat about.
Right, right.
Even us on podcast day, our conversation just naturally goes to what's going on in our transactions. Help me write this email.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we had to delay recording so I could help you write a text.
I know. I know. So yeah, I think it's especially hard when you're working together.
Yeah. And I like, though, what she was saying, because this is very much a problem I have. If you have in your mind how your day is going to go, and then a new buyer pops up or some problem arises and it throws off the rhythm of your day or what you had planned or how you pictured it to be, sometimes the mental load of trying to re-navigate, it can be like, oh, everything is ruined.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, how do you gracefully accept the fact that we work in a business where things are not always how you plan them to be?
Yeah. And I feel like the more times I sit on a panel of top producing agents, and they talk about all their time blocking and all of their non-negotiable standing personal appointments.
Right.
My mind is just blown because I know how unrealistic of an expectation that is to set to the crowd that's listening.
Yeah.
And then it makes them feel like, well, I canceled my door knocking or my phone call appointment because I got this new buyer that needed to see a house at this time. And now I feel like a failure because I compromised on my schedule.
Right, on my non-negotiables.
On my time blocking. My calendar was green or orange during this time, and that's the time I was supposed to do this.
Right.
But I applaud this person.
Yeah.
Because, hey there, are you looking for ways to save time and money in your business?
Email Templates 101 is the communication system you need to bring ease and efficiency to managing your transactions and clients.
Save time and avoid mistakes, all while providing a high level of service for your buyers and sellers.
In Email Templates 101, you'll get 13 downloadable buyer templates ready for your personal touches.
And 19 downloadable seller templates, plus 6 attachment checklists.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/courses to get yours today.
That's actually our job. You know, there's so many things that we feel like we're supposed to do as agents.
Right.
And at the end of the day, all we do is work with buyers and work with sellers.
It's just that simple.
If you got into real estate to be your air quotes own boss,
right,
you're in for a rude awakening.
Right.
Because at the moment, I have like 12 bosses.
Right. Right.
I have 5 sellers. Half of them are happy with me. Half of them are not. I have a few buyers. Half of them are happy. Half of them are frustrated with the inventory. But all of these people
are your boss.
Are my boss.
They can throw off your schedule at any point in time.
Yeah.
They can say, hey, I can talk to you at 10. Even though you have plans to do something else at 10.
Yeah.
You're
And
like,
sometimes,
okay.
right. Yeah. Sometimes you mean 10 a.m. like just now?
Right. Like just now. I'm using just now.
No, not 10 p.m.
Remember that time when we were going to record and you're like, hold on, I have to talk to this seller at 10.
We were going to record this episode at 10 a.m. It was on the agenda.
Right.
Or no, at 9:30.
Yeah.
And then my seller, we got an offer on her house last night. And she was like, hey, I'm in meetings. Can I call you at 10 a.m.? And I was like, Katie, we have to.
Fine. Good news. I'm very flexible. But within I just have to get this certain number of things done during a large time frame, right?
Yeah.
If you get too strict about, I must have this done at this time, and your client needs something, you're going to feel consistent resistance, right?
Yeah.
Like I am feeling like I'm not doing what I want to be doing. So, and in our episode about time blocking, like I think it's called Does Time Blocking Work for Real Estate? I don't remember the number, but we talk a lot about that episode, how you need to get certain things done as an agent, as a business owner, but they need to be more flexible in where you do them.
Yeah. Because
your client's needs will come first, typically. That doesn't mean your client's needs are ever your problem at 10 p.m.
No.
But it does mean that in the course of your day, it may throw off what you had planned. But we've also talked about, I block off personal things just the same as I would a regular appointment with a client.
Yeah.
So if I have to be at school from 9 to 10 for a presentation from the kids' class, it's an appointment in my calendar. And if someone needs something else, I'm like, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at that time.
Yes.
I can get back to you at 10. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
So I think, Kristen, you got this.
Yeah, you do. And I, like you said, the clients take priority.
Yeah.
That is the bread and butter of what we do.
Yeah.
Everything else we do is to
Works to get clients.
Like
we just want the clients.
Yeah, we just want the client. So if you have something else that is, phone calls to get more clients, but you have a client that wants to see a house, that takes priority.
Yeah.
If it's something that you can't cancel, that's okay. There's other hours in the day. Hey, I can't go at 9 a.m. Could we go at 11 or 1 or 3?
Right, give options.
Yeah, I always like to give several options, and I've been doing that more and more lately, and it's been going pretty well. Like when a new buyer sends me a house, hey, we like this. What are your thoughts? First thing I do, check the property disclosure. Hey, just want to let you know the roof is 14 years old. It is a 2-story. I see that only the primary is downstairs and 3 of the bedrooms are upstairs. I know that you had mentioned in the past that could be an issue with the kids. If you want to see it, I can go Wednesday at this time, Thursday at this time, or Friday at this time. And sometimes they're like, hey, thanks for that info. We just don't think it's the house for us.
Right.
And sometimes they're like, great, Thursday at 1.
Right. Do the good legwork before you show up and they're like, oh, yeah, this is 2 stories.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't
know all the bedrooms were upstairs.
Like, you could have saved yourself a trip.
Yep.
Yeah. Smart. And just being prepared for, I think, it's a mindset issue.
It is a mindset issue.
Are you flexible? Do you understand what this job actually is? You don't get to just choose your schedule to the every last minute. I'm sorry, you just don't.
No.
This is a flexible schedule in a way, but in another way, you have no control. Like,
yes, it's so weird. Every job, and I think every job has something that appears to be greener grasses on the other side.
Always.
What I love about this job is, yes, I have to be sort of on call at any given moment, but I can take as much vacation as I want.
Yeah.
I do have to make a lot of plans to take that vacation and have people here for showings.
Yeah.
But, I just got back from my scuba diving trip and it was glorious.
Things were fine.
Yeah, I checked my email once a day, just kind of peeked in there. Nothing was ever on fire. I did have a buyer that needed to see some houses. I had a colleague here that was so delightful and helped out.
Did you pay them for the showings?
I did.
Okay.
I paid them for the showings. I actually wrote an offer in Cozumel that did not get accepted.
Yeah.
And then when I came home, we went and looked at the house together. It was still on the market. Yeah. And we resubmitted an offer after I looked at it. And now we're under contract.
I love it.
Yeah. But it's like,
it all worked out.
It really is a perspective thing. You know what's so funny? speaking of perspective, and I'm going to share it on our Instagram this week.
Oh, I can't wait.
Before we landed in Cozumel, I took a picture out the plane.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
The most beautiful picture you've ever seen.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, we were landed on the ground. Took the same picture, like literally like a less than 10-minute difference out the window. Totally gray, raining.
Oh, because you were in the air.
Yes.
Versus on the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to be all,
please.
Whatever. But it was like such a revelation of, oh my, like, how are you looking at things?
Yeah, they always tell you have to get that 30,000-foot perspective of your life, of your business, of whatever. Like, you're getting bogged down in the details, but like the big overview, is it good? Is it bad? Like, you were like, this is beautiful.
Yeah. And then we landed and I was like, oh, wait.
This is a gray day.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be beautiful today and it's raining.
That's so funny.
And not only was it raining, but in Cozumel, you have to get off the plane in the on the concrete, on the
tarmac.
On the tarmac, yes. And then you walk to where you have to go. So we were getting like rained on.
You're like,
I'm like, this is not how I presented it on Instagram.
That's true too. Right?
I only shared that pretty picture on Instagram.
That still was the truth. Both things were true.
Both were true.
We say that both things are true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, funny. Okay, let's go into, we're going to get to the holidays part of this because we want to talk about boundaries in reference to holidays, but let's back it up and let's talk about capacity versus demand. Yeah. Okay, so the first time I ever heard this theory, if you will, was during my physical therapy, like 6 or 8 weeks, my physical therapy that I did after my back surgery. So that was in May of 2022 when I was done with the part where you can't even move. Like after back surgery, like don't bend down. So you just walk around with your brace on and you're just like, oh my God, don't bend down.
Don't bend down.
Okay, but then when you're like into now it's time for therapy, let's get our strength back and fix our core and all this stuff. The therapist told me, we have to work on your capacity versus your demand. So what your body, and I'm going to give you the physical description of this, and then I'll give you kind of like the business description. Capacity, the actual definition of capacity is the maximum amount that something can contain. So it's the maximum amount of that what you can handle. And this definition she's giving me, your capacity is what your body can handle. So right after surgery, my body is weak. I'm trying to heal my back. Like I can't go like powerlifting, right? I can't carry.
You actually had a very strict weight limit.
Right, yes. I can't go carrying around a toddler or lifting up the groceries or whatever. My capacity is low. Now, demand is this is the definition, is an insistent request made as if by right. So a demand on you is something that you're required to do.
Just hearing that definition makes me like pull back.
Right. You're like, I don't want people to make demands on me.
And they think that it's their right to do that.
Right. Like it's like a hostage negotiation. Like the hostage takers are giving demands. Like you're going to have to do. Okay. So your capacity is what you can handle. And again, if we're looking at this physically, but if we're looking at it mentally or in your business, your capacity is what is your burnout or breaking point? Like what is the point at which your mental and physical health suffer? Yeah. So capacity, you can get all the way up to this point. That's your capacity. And then there's a tipping point and you're like, I'm not okay. Yeah. For however it affects you, right? Okay. And then demand is anything that's being insisted of you. So literally anything in your life. Your client's calling you at any hour. If they're not a nice client, this is a higher demand, right? They're mean. Your kids need to see you. You have to help your elderly parents. You need to take care of buying all the Christmas gifts. You have a baby who eats all night long and you have to get up, every 2 hours. These are all demands. You can't really control your demands. If you get sick, that is a demand on you. Like you just can't operate at the same capacity. Right? Okay. So all of these things are demands on you. So she said, what we're going to do in therapy is we're going to increase your capacity so that when you have more demands, you can handle them without getting to your breaking point. And I was like, hold up. This is like my mind is blown. Yeah. Like you have the option and ability to increase your capacity. And I was like, Oh my God.
Never thought about it that way.
Never thought about it that way. I never thought about the fact that I can't control the demands on me. Like, I can't control how much my kids need me. I can't control, like, you know, all of these certain things in my life, how my business needs me, but I can control my capacity for those things.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about handling more demands. So, like, let's just say you're in a busier season of your business or your life. How can we increase our capacity? And then I'll ask you if you can think of some ways to increase your capacity. Systems can help increase your capacity. Do I already have my buyer and seller folders ready? Well, then I'm not going to freak out if I get a new listing call.
Right.
It doesn't matter that I have 10 transactions and all the balls in the air. I'm like, well, I can grab the folder and I can go in 20 minutes and be ready to go. Maybe if you have an assistant, that's how you increase your capacity. People are always talking about leverage, right? Like, how can we use our tools to give us more space to do what we need to do or what's being demanded of us? Email templates. High increase in your capacity, right? Because now you're getting all this communication done on the front end. Even if you had a standard closing gift and you've got 4 in your closet and you're not having to run last minute and take care of these things, those to me are ways to increase your capacity.
Yeah.
Do you have some ideas for how to increase your business capacity?
I feel like I need advice on it this year.
I think also you do a good job of relaying your business, like your buyer rules and your business hours. And if you put those things into place, it increases your capacity because you're not getting those extra demands.
Yeah, I have to check myself on my emotional capacity,
Yeah.
which is a little bit harder to measure. But I've struggled the most when a client is unhappy.
Yeah.
When a house is not selling.
Right.
When a buyer can't find what they're looking for. Or lately I have a buyer that we've been looking and now her whole family is invested.
Is looking too.
And I'm getting all these messages that's like, my aunt heard about this one coming up from a friend, you know, and I stalk this person and I make a phone call and they're like.
It's not even meeting their criteria.
No, you know, and it's just like, but I'm like, this is me saying this to myself. Like, I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job because they're finding all of these leads for potential houses in these, you know, miscellaneous areas.
But none of them have worked out.
No, none of them have worked out. But, you know, there's things like that I'm like, I get hard on myself. Like, is my buyer working harder than I am? Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are on a mission and depending on their work schedule. Yeah, they're doing so much research. But that is when I get, but also, for example, this year, 2024, is the first year of my whole career that I felt like I found my limit.
Yeah, you were like, this is the tipping point.
In the past, you've always been like, how many listings is too many? How many? And I'm like, I never could find that number. Fine. And it happened at a time that I wasn't the busiest. Like, I was busy, but I certainly wasn't the busiest I've ever been.
Yeah.
But I had some very difficult clients.
Right.
That were not the kindest.
Yeah.
And I had to even you know, at first it was hard. And then I had to get to a place of separating myself from what they were making me feel.
Right.
One, for instance, you know, was always wanting me to do these crazy things to get their house sold and wanted me to show up at hospitals with brochures because there's hospitals in the area and it was a high-end house and we needed some doctors. And
You're going to go like stalk the doctors in the literal hallway of the hospital?
That he was suggesting, it caught me so off guard.
You were like, wow, this is very demanding.
Very demanding. Yes. Very demanding.
And you were like, I don't have the capacity for this.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't have the capacity to do what you're asking me to do.
You need a different agent.
And he loved reminding me how much money I was going to make if the house sold.
It's not even, you're like, great, you're right. Obviously, I want to get to the end and make the money.
Yeah.
Or else what was all of this for?
Sure.
But he's not also pointing out, hey, by the way, if we don't sell, and I won't make any of the money, and I'll have spent all this time.
So I understand. Like, I understand that if I don't sell this house, I don't get paid. You don't have to remind me of that.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to show up at hospitals like a sales rep.
Right?
I'm not here to discuss a drug.
No.
I am here to
Would you like to buy a house?
Yeah, how strange.
Because again, you can't force someone to buy a house.
But the way that he spoke often to me was very condescending, very like, you're not doing enough, and that took more of a toll on me and it was a long-term listing, and I did get it sold, thank the Lord.
So then you're like, as new business approaches you, you're less inclined to want to take it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I'm sorry, my docket's full. I'm already at.
During this time, I referred out more business than I normally would have because I was just not in a good place emotionally.
Yeah.
Now, it was interesting because I would get a call and they'd be like, well, we're looking, our budget's not the best and this is what we want. I'm like, okay, look, I have someone that's going to help you.
Right. It's not going to be me.
I can't right now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of running on empty here. And I didn't say that, but I was like, look, I have an agent that works this area specifically.
Yeah.
They have more capacity than I do at this moment to do the digging that you need.
Right.
Now, if someone called and was like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what we want. We're on a strict time frame. I'm like, awesome. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
We need to find something. I can work with this. I know the inventory there. Let's do it. But I was being way more selective when I was in this place. And then I got to a point where I had to be like, I can't live like this. So, but I'm not getting rid of the seller.
Right.
So how do I cope?
So what did you do?
I just,
how do I cope?
Well, you were like my therapist during this time. And that was very helpful. Just having you and maybe like my broker to express my frustrations.
Yeah.
And y'all both helped me get above the situation. I was totally in the clouds.
In it, yeah.
I was in
it's a gray day.
It was a gray day. I couldn't get the grayness to go away. And it took not vent. Here's the thing. You have to be careful because you don't want to vent constantly.
No.
Because then you're stuck in the muck.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to get there.
Well, what you focus on grows.
Yes. And so it was like, yeah, I could fire him, but like then I lose too. And I wasn't at that point. Right. I wanted to recoup my
It did sell, right?
It sold.
Yeah, okay, good.
But it also got to the point where my broker's like, I mean, you have a contract signed, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, he's not going to fire you. And if he does, we'll fight it. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, just tell him, this is what I'm doing. This is my marketing plan. These things that you're asking me to do were not in my marketing plan.
Yeah. And you knew what it was going to be when you hired me.
Yeah. And I also got to the point where I said, listen, I'm not doing anything else until you paint those bedrooms.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything else until you fix your landscaping.
Right.
I have done everything you've asked of me and I'm no longer putting
now
any more.
You have to do the work.
Right. And once the fear of losing the client, like worst case scenario, he does want to fire me. And I choose not to fight it.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah, you did everything you could possibly do to sell it. It still hasn't sold.
And I had to also be okay with saying, you know what, this is a seller that even when we get to the closing table,
he's not going to be happy.
He's not going to be happy.
You could never make him happy.
There is nothing. And once I separated myself
I feel like
from
we're talking about a dating show.
We are. We are. Once I separated myself from that goal.
Yeah, of making him happy.
And believe that I was a hard worker, I was fine.
Yeah, that was good.
I just started taking his calls. Right. Putting him on speaker while I typed my emails and every now and then said, I hear you. Yes, yes. I just sort of detached
That's
from,
good.
But it took me a minute, like I find myself to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And this one got me. And at the same time, I also had a very difficult one who was reluctant to even use an agent, reminded me of that the whole time. It was just two at one time that were just really wearing me down. And you saw me during that time. I was like, I cannot actually process anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have basically a self-imposed mental demand. You were saying in your mind, I have to make these clients, I don't just have to sell these houses. I have to make these clients happy. And that was not a goal that you could ever achieve. Ever.
Yeah.
This makes me think a little bit about other businesses, specifically when you're like, I had to refer out, I just was spending all my time trying to deal with these difficult clients. When you think about like, you go to a new doctor. They're like, okay, well, the next available appointment for new patients is 3 months away. Or if you go to my broker does design. It's like, oh, well, we have a wait list. Like, we don't have any more space for design work right now, but we'll have an opening in 2 months. People wait.
Yeah.
It's just, but realtors are just like, oh, whatever I get, I have to grab onto right now and I have to work it all because in 2 months, there might be no one.
Yeah.
Which actually might be true. It may be that there are more clients right now and in 2 months there are not. But you also can't live your life like that. Like, oh, I'm going to do 20 transactions right now and 0 later. Like, you're going to have to figure out what is sort of the median number that you can handle.
And I think that if you have your systems in place.
Do you want to build a referral-based business rooted in relationships, not cold leads?
Do you want to use social media to connect with your database?
Enter Modern Agent Social Club. Mask is the marketing membership that pairs current content trends with timeless strategies to help you grow your real estate business.
When you join Mask, you'll have instant access to relatable content every single month that's actually fun to implement.
You'll also get a weekly private podcast giving you the creative strategies you need to stay relevant.
Plus, marketing campaigns to grow your email list, email templates to keep you top of mind with your database, and so much more.
And we have great news for you. Mask is now a monthly membership with no contracts, and you can get your first month for half off with our code.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/mask and use the code hustlehumbly to get $50 off your first month. That's hustlehumblypodcast.com/mask, MASC. And I think that if you have your systems in place, it levels out naturally.
Yeah.
If you have systems in place, good systems, you're rarely going to get to 0.
Right.
Nothing going on because your systems, your follow-up and the way you chat with your clients and your database, like it's always keeping something trickling in.
Right.
Okay. And I still can't fully answer the question of what is my capacity.
Yeah.
Because it's not a number. I feel like I could handle 30 transactions if the clients are great.
Yeah.
But the second people are not respecting my boundaries, wanting me to do things I did not agree to from the beginning in the marketing plan, all these things, all of a sudden it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like that's not.
This is the limit.
This is the limit.
Right. Because you've closed 90 transactions in multiple years.
Yeah.
And then you even said, you're like, I can't handle more right now. And I'm doing a lot less transactions than previously.
Right.
But that one bad seller can feel like 10.
100%.
Right?
And that's the point that I got to where I just needed more, honestly, like I napped a lot.
Right.
Because I was just like,
I got to take a break.
I need to like go just lay down for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And wake up just a little bit with a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
You know, or I need to go for a run. I was working out a lot during that time.
Right.
You know, I was coping because I was trying to shake it off.
I know.
Because I didn't want it to spill over into my kids or, you know, my house. And then people, what's wrong? You know, like poor Tanner. It's like, he's like, how was work? And I'm like,
it's terrible.
He's like, what? Like, he's not used to that, you know,
like, wow,
but it happened.
It's like, sorry I asked.
Yeah. But he was great. You know, I was like, it's just hard right now.
Right.
But even he was like, I've never seen you like this. And I was like, I'm emotionally not.
Right.
That's where I'm struggling.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So real estate is so hard to gauge boundaries.
Yeah.
Because so many of them are ambiguous. Like it's
right.
not this concrete number of, oh, well, I have 10 listings right now. So you're going to have to wait till one sells and then I can take another.
It's very funny you should say that though. For most of my career, it didn't ever come to the point where I typically would have 5 listings. At any given time, I would have about 5 listings. And if another listing came along, I wasn't going to turn it away because I never was like at my capacity for transactions. But I did at most of my listing appointments say, hey, I have about 5 listings at any given time. That's what I feel like I can appropriately serve and give all of my attention to everyone that needs it. Mm-hmm. You may interview other agents who will say, I have 50 listings right now. That to me is not what I could handle and give the appropriate attention. So It's up to you if you want someone who is doing a high volume. Mm-hmm. are you just a number then? Like,
right.
I'm telling you what I know I can do and give good service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we all think that way, you can maybe stay at below your capacity, right?
Yeah, I've even had clients that I interviewed for that did not choose me because I had
too many.
They felt like I had too many transactions going on.
Yeah.
And that was fine.
I mean, that's a fair way
And
to
I was
pick.
at a place where I felt like I could handle them.
Yeah.
And I told them that.
But they were like, no.
We just,
we don't feel like the only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just what their need was.
Right.
Okay. I think some people listening are probably like, boundaries? Why do I need boundaries? I don't have any business. Because it's kind of slow right now.
Yeah.
Now, as this airs, I'm so curious to see what will happen because regardless of the outcome, the data shows that in an election year, the market gets quiet. And following the election, regardless of how it goes, market picks back up.
Right.
So we're a week out. Like, are people like starting to come out yet? Or are they like, I'll wait until after Christmas? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I know that they're the people who are like, oh, boundaries. I don't need the boundaries for the holidays. What are some of the things you do as a working agent to give yourself boundaries during the holidays? Like, do you have to change anything?
I love the major holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, because I feel like it's the only day that it would actually be appropriate to keep my phone on airplane mode.
You're like, I'm not here.
Yeah. Like, I just believe that. Like,
Right.
anybody who needs something, I can check it after. And if they don't get a response from me, they're like, oh, it is Christmas Day.
Right. Right.
You know? So I do appreciate the major holidays because, like, if I'm on vacation, I do feel the need to check in with my business.
Yeah, because those are just regular business days.
Yeah, and it helps me enjoy my vacation because I'm like, oh, look, everything's going
fine.
well. Oh, this person needs something. Here you go. Here's my colleague. You know, it's just easy. But on the days of, I'm like, that's really nice. Like, I can just not do that. I don't feel the need to do that. But also with the holidays coming up, you know, I'm Haven's room mom.
Right. I've noticed this is a lot of work.
It is a good bit of work, but Haven just thinks it's so cool that I'm
so cool
in her class a lot. All her friends are like, hi, Haven's mom, you know.
That's precious.
So it's been nice. And while it is a lot of work, it's not too long. You know?
She's in second grade, right?
Yeah, she's in second grade.
I was Ainsley's room mom in the second grade.
Aw.
And never again.
Oh, you didn't enjoy it?
I loved it. My mom was always the room mom.
Okay.
But I also had to do some mental, like, unpacking of this. Like, I grew up with a mom who was always the room mom and the head of the room moms.
Oh.
And, like, she was a stay-at-home mom.
I see.
That's different.
It is different.
I can't expect myself to be able to handle that and a full-time business.
Yeah.
Like, if I could, I can. But I had fun. It was fine in the second grade. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But she wasn't like, Mom, you have to be it every year. And at school, they try to give different people a turn.
Yes.
So it's sort of like they want to get new moms to do it the following years. And I never tried again.
But I think that's an excellent point because you're like, well, my mom was the room mom and my mom did all the things. It's like, yes, but your mom was not working.
Right. So it's
her
different.
Job was
she had a greater capacity for mom things.
She had a greater capacity for mom things.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she didn't have to split her focus. I was the room mom again in sixth grade. That one was very low key.
Yeah, I could see that.
But that was it.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, though. But, like, as things come up, like, I'm sure we're going to have Thanksgiving parties and things like that at school. So then you have all these other holiday parties that come up and family get-togethers. And things just get really busy in your personal life.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you are offering the time slots to your client.
Yeah.
So as you are getting new clients or clients that need you to come meet them face to face, saying, absolutely, how does your day look this day at this time, this day at this? Give 3 good options.
Yeah.
And if none of them work, keep going.
Yeah.
But I try my best to avoid, how does your schedule look? When can you go?
No.
Because if they're like, well, I can go on this day, it's like, well.
Sometimes I will say, when did you want to go?
Yeah.
Not when can you go and I'm going to make it work. More like, when were you thinking you wanted to go? Like, when did you want me to come over for the listing appointment? And then I can be like, well, maybe not. Or like, here are the times I have available. If your schedule's getting tight, then you have to give them the times.
I have also found with my buyer, so I feel like I'm a little bit buyer heavy right now because our inventory is not the best. So I have some long-term buyers because we're just not we're not looking every weekend.
Right.
They're pretty good about knowing, no, that's not the house, but we are looking and chatting during the week as new listings come up. But what has really helped me since the buyer rep agreement has become mandatory is having the visual of how many buyers I actually have.
Yeah.
If you've watched the Trello video, which if you Google Alyssa Hustle Humbly Trello video, it just comes up on YouTube. But it shows how I have a breakdown of pre-listing, these are people that have reached out, but we're working on it. Then active listings means we are on the market. My sign is in the yard.
Yeah.
Before I had a buyer column that was like, well, these people have reached out and said they would like to buy.
Right. And that was it.
Yeah. Now, since I made the Trello video that you'll see online, now I just have an extra column that's BBA has been signed.
Yeah.
And moving people over to that, because that column has like 5 people in it.
Those are the serious. You can't show the other ones a house.
Right.
Until they sign.
It's almost helped me realize, because that buyer column can get pretty messy.
And then you feel like you are overwhelmed with buyers.
Just by looking at that column. But then it's like, well, as a house comes up and they become ready, now it's time. We have to do the consultation. We have to sign this form. We need to make sure you're with your lender.
That's true.
And I can move you over.
Yeah.
It kind of made me realize that before the BBA was a requirement, I should have had a pre-approved column.
Yes.
Like
they're
people,
one step further.
Yes. We have actually met with a lender.
These are the hot leads.
I have spoken to their lender and we are all on the same page with budget.
You needed a warm and a hot.
I did. And now if they are in there too long, I do move them to pipeline. Yeah. But even it was hard to gauge. I needed something definite.
Yeah, this is helpful.
So the BBA has really helped me with that. Now, also with the BBA, doing these now we always had the buyer rules. Like I always had a consultation with my clients, which included the buyer rules from email templates.
Yeah.
One of those rules is please feel free to go to open houses and let them know I'm your agent.
Yeah.
Like if you have a Sunday off, the more houses you can look at as a buyer, out of budget, above your budget, below your budget, just helps your frame of reference.
Yeah.
And when I get to that section, they like half the time they're like, oh, we can go to open houses?
Live it up.
I'm like, yes, just look, tell them I'm your, like the first thing you need to say when you walk in is, hey, our agent Alyssa Jenkins told us to come by.
Yeah.
And then they know, awesome, I don't have to follow you around.
Right.
I don't need to waste my energy on trying to convert you to a buyer. And 2, if I want to follow up with you, I know who to call, Alyssa, right? And they're like, oh, okay, my buyers. And I think the thing is, since the BBA, we're seeing so many open houses.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to accommodate buyers.
The people who didn't sign.
Like,
fascinating.
We're seeing, like,
it does feel like there are a lot of open houses.
There is. And during the week, so many. I just sold a house to my buyers who, when I pulled up to the showing on the sign, it was like open house Monday through Friday, like 10 till 4.
Wait, the whole day?
Yeah.
Every day?
Monday through Friday.
Where was this house? Like in a big neighborhood?
It was in a neighborhood. But I thought that's interesting. And this was like right when the BBA was really... So it's like if it's
and your
always
people bought it?
Yeah, but we made an appointment
right
on the weekend and we showed it and we bought it. So anyway, open houses right now are all over the place with when they're being done.
But does it feel like it's for the benefit of the seller now, right?
Yeah, because they're like, well, Mr. Seller, we want to make sure we're getting people in your house.
And if they're not willing to sign buyer agreements,
maybe
to see
they won't
make
an appointment. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting.
But I think because there's so many, my buyers who are all signed up with me are are really taking advantage of seeing as many houses as they can.
Yeah.
Which has also helped my capacity.
Right.
Because they do have time to just every Sunday grab a coffee and go see 8 houses that don't meet your criteria. I am thankful I did not have to show those to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair.
My clients just sent me one and it could work. And I was like, it's later in the week at this point. I'm like, well, when do you want to go? We can go look at it. Because she's like, I don't know. It looks like it could check boxes, but I'm not certain that I don't really think it's the one, but I feel like I need to go see it. I'm like, let's go see it. She's like, okay. Well, she calls me back. She's like, hey, my husband can't go like this week with his work, but I see they're having an open house on Sunday. We may just go to the open house. And I was like, do that.
And these are already buyers who signed your agreement. Yeah. So it's like, you're like, go for it.
Yeah. And then I'm
fully protected.
Yeah, I'm fully protected. Go. And they do. And it's so funny because Sunday at around 5:00, I get all these text messages. Hey, Alyssa, so-and-so here from ABC Realty. Your clients came through.
Interesting.
I'm like, they're asking for doing feedback. Their homework.
Yeah.
Do you think they're interested?
Good for your buyers for actually saying your name.
And it's not just these, like it's several.
Because you're training them.
And then it's fun because I message them. I'm like, hey, heard you went to the open house. How'd it go? And they're like, oh, not the one. But when it's one that they are serious about, we're making an appointment within a day or two.
Yeah.
So
because you need to see it.
Yeah, I need to see it.
Oh, interesting.
But that's really helped. Like the buyer consultation of explaining to buyers, like, look, sellers need notice, especially if it's occupied. Mm-hmm. Your schedule has to work. My schedule has to work. There's open houses. Like these are all the things you can do.
Yeah.
Has really helped with my capacity, which I think goes back, one of the things you can do to increase your capacity and control your capacity is to have good systems in place. Yeah. The buyer consultation since BBA has been, I always had one, but now it's just so much more in depth.
It's more formal also.
It is more formal.
Much more formal. It's not
like a listing appointment.
It's not like you could let the kind of, hesitant buyers still call you and be like, let's run for a showing.
Yeah.
Now you're like, you're either in it or you're out.
Yeah.
Like you're either signing or you're not. Like I can't go. I'm not allowed. Mm-hmm. You got to sign.
Yeah. So I feel like it's actually been a very positive thing for my business.
Yeah.
I feel very protected. Less scarcity mindset. Like, what if they go to a for sale by owner? Like, well, now they know not to.
Right.
They've always known not to, but now there's more skin in the game.
Yeah, now they know they have to pay you.
Yeah.
It's different. Okay, I want to back up a little bit. You mentioned some of the stuff with like the holiday parties and things that are going to come here this season. I read an article once about something called kin keeping. Have you ever heard this term?
No.
K-I-N, like your kinfolk.
Okay, your kinfolk.
Your people,
yes.
Right? Kin keeping. And it talked about the mental demand that typically falls to the female of a relationship or the women of a family or the matriarch of the family. And it's the, preparing for the holiday meals, figuring out who's bringing what.
Don't forget the cheese ball.
Yeah, getting the gifts, getting the gifts purchased and wrapped and making sure the kids have the clothes for the photos and making sure that everyone has the clothes to go to Christmas and making sure that you plan for the guests who are coming to your house to stay for the holiday, whatever. And how these things called kin keeping carry such a heavy mental load that isn't really a lot of times talked about. And it fell typically, again, to the female because, 50 years, 100 years ago, they weren't usually working.
Right.
That was their job.
Yes.
And so now all these societal norms have just kept pushing it off on the mom, right? Mm-hmm. Mom, you got to do this. Mom, you got to send the cupcakes to school. Mom, you got to make sure that the kid brings beads next week for the project.
Yeah.
Well, and the moms are just like, this is just what we, like that term super mom makes me want to literally gag.
I know.
And it's like something that we don't talk about enough or even like recognize. Like, you can't have that much capacity. Right. You can't be super mom. You cannot be the room mom and do all the kin keeping and have a full-time job and have like some sort of side hustle you're doing and have a hobby and read your book and
and brush your teeth
and have time to wash your hair. Like, how are you going to do all this stuff? Like, it's just ridiculous. And they're unrealistic expectations that you're not responsible for feeling that way.
Yeah.
Society put that on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to also push back, though. That's my thing. So especially when my kids were really little, or even now after they were in school, a lot of times it's not necessarily school. They're pretty good about sending the emails to mom and dad because of divorce, I think. So they want to make sure everyone's getting the messages. It's more when I get a text message from like the group chat of mom, like while we were gone. Yeah. Ainsley is off at homecoming. I'm in this group chat with moms.
Yeah, we were in Dallas.
All the details, but I'm not in charge. I'm gone. Jay's in charge, but he's not on the group text. So now I'm having to relay messages. So a lot of times it's bless them. I know they don't mean any harm, but it's the other moms who go straight to the moms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish there was a better norm of people being like, which parent do I, just like when you sell a house.
Yeah.
Who's the point person?
Yeah.
Who's the point person on this kid?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one who has to schedule this stuff? Who's in charge of getting them the cleats for, the athletic event? Like it's not always me.
Right.
And I want to give everyone the permission to say to someone or their spouse or whoever your support system is, maybe you have a grandparent that helps. Hey, I need more help. I can't handle all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't get all this done. Or feel free to be like, hey, y'all aren't getting gifts this year.
Yeah.
Nobody got time for this.
Mm-mm.
I got all this other stuff I got to do.
Yeah, you are adults. We are going to focus on the kids this year.
Right.
We draw names at my house.
I finally, it took years on my side at my parents' house to get them to draw adult names.
Wow.
Because I was buying, and y'all, gift giving is my favorite.
Yeah.
As a Enneagram 2, that's like a big deal. But even then, it can't be this list of, 40 people who I have to get a gift for, and then it's expensive on top of that. And you got to get it done.
Yeah.
So finally we drew names. It's like, thank the Lord.
Glorious.
So glorious. But I think it's also okay to just be like, hey, I'm just giving gifts to children.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Right. Please feel free to reciprocate.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you have to, if you want to, sometimes your capacity, you got to also tell people what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, sorry, I can't take another buyer right now.
Yeah. Or that area is too far from where I live and I don't think I could serve you best.
Yeah. It's going to eat up all this time.
Get there.
Right.
And yeah, it's been very freeing. Referring things out. But you know what else has made me really happy? The agents who I send it to are so thankful.
Right.
I'm like, look at y'all. Y'all are just, it makes me feel good.
It's good karma.
It is good karma.
And you get to keep your sanity.
Yep.
I love it.
It's going much better.
Such a win-win.
Yeah.
It's such a win-win.
It is going pretty well.
Anything else you have on boundaries for holidays or in life, or anything else you want to make sure that people know?
I just think that don't be afraid to say, I have an appointment that day.
Yeah.
We are the ones that are putting the self-imposed urgency on us.
Yeah.
Now, if the COVID years are over.
Right.
There's not 12 offers on a house anymore.
Yeah.
And I will say, use that gauge. Like if a house has been on the market 90 days and your buyer wants to go see it, it could probably wait till Tuesday.
Right.
Or
it might still be here.
Yeah. But it's like, if it's a brand new listing and it looks awesome. And, I just listed that house in Jamestown, and my phone, I've listed several houses. I do not get phone calls.
Right.
I list this one. People are calling. It's so cute. People are calling. Hey, do I need to get there now?
I need to go look at this listing.
How many showings do you have? Right. I can get there today. I would like to go tomorrow, but should I get there today?
Yeah.
They're asking. And I'm like, you need to get there today.
Also good for them for knowing and understanding the market and the product.
So it made me learning from them.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really smart. Ask. And then tell your buyer, hey, I spoke to the agent. We're good to go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't stress. We got this. But save your urgency for when it's urgent. Sometimes it is.
What a quote.
Save your urgency for when it's urgent.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. But if everything is urgent, that's when you just totally wear yourself out.
Well, if everything's urgent, then nothing is urgent.
Yes.
Right. It can't all be designated urgent.
And don't let all the shiny things that are on your calendar actually take away from the client that you worked so hard to get.
I know.
Like, that's what you worked for.
Right.
Give them priority.
Right.
Keep it simple. When we just focus on our buyers and our sellers and our work, within our work, it keeps our work so much more simple.
Yes.
And all these other fluffy things that we feel like we need to be doing to be working just can fade a little bit.
Yeah.
So this was a good pep talk.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Katie.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Thank you. Are you going to read us a toast
Yeah,
today?
I am going to read us a toast.
We're back in the day when we used to read toasts.
Yeah, we got one sent to us, actually from Brittany Goins from Oklahoma.
Who's in community.
She is in community. I think she was our member of the month.
She was.
1 year. I meant 1 month.
Yeah.
1 year.
1 year. She was so good.
Yeah.
She had it every single month.
Is very involved in our community. And so I'm going to read her message. I'd like to make a toast to Whitney Ajun. I had the pleasure of meeting Whitney at my brokerage around a year ago. She is the best friend and colleague I could have ever imagined having. She is still taking time to help me answer questions and run comps while hustling in her business and killing it. I'm so proud of you, Whit. I wish you all the love and success in the world. P.S. She tuned me on to Hustle Humbly.
Oh, wow.
How sweet.
Cheers.
I know. Cheers, Whitney. Cheers, Brittany. And y'all, just take a deep breath. Ask for help. Delete things off your calendar that don't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, don't buy for adults.
Right.
Right.
Know your limits.
Know your limits.
Know your limits.
You know what I'm doing in December?
What are you doing?
I'm leaving for 8 days on a cruise.
Before the holiday?
Yep.
Oh, that's going to be great.
I know.
You'll be like, bye.
Bye, guys.
I don't want to do any of this stuff.
I'm not doing it. I'm leaving.
I'm leaving.
Leaving the country.
Well, that'll work. Okay, bye everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to ratethispodcast.com/hustlehumbly and leave us a review, or like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast. Don't forget to find all the free resources at hustlehumblypodcast.com/resources.
See you next week.